Troy's Everyday Eats brought to you by The Fresh Market.
Hey, good morning everybody. Now we're in the kitchen today and I'm giving away 2 of my family recipes. And actually, if your family's anything like mine, they didn't write anything down, so I had to kind of recreate them. So what we're doing today is we're going to do a red sauce with meatballs and sausage. I know it doesn't sound real fancy, and we've done red sauce on the show before, but it's always been with either fresh tomatoes or something real quick. This is something that's going to cook for a very, very long time. But we'll get to that here in just a little bit. First thing we're going to do is we're going to work on ciabatta bread, which it's a very family traditional recipe, super simple. There's 6 ingredients. Anybody can do it. I know what you're thinking. No, I can't cook bread, but I'm telling you, if you've got an oven, you got a bowl, you can make bread. So we've got just regular all-purpose flour. Went to the Fresh Market. You can get all-purpose flour anywhere. There's no leavening agent in it, so we're going to do that. We're going to put that in there. Season it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of yeast. Now, you don't have to proof the yeast for this recipe, which means you would just put it in the water. You would proof it with the sugar. We're adding the sugar now. So basically what we're doing is we're going to get all this put in here. Oop, get it all mixed up. And all that's doing is just kind of dispersing it through the dough. Now, if you're very talented, you could probably pile the flour up like you do pasta on a cutting board and make a well and pour the water in there. But I'm not that talented, so I'm just going to pour the water in like that. The only thing you're going to do is just kind of mix this together until it comes together. So all we're doing is just taking a fork and kind of moving the water around, the flour into the water until it starts to form a ball. Now, anybody can do this, right? All right. Now, I've got my oven set about 425 degrees. Now, I have a baking stone. You don't necessarily have to use a baking stone. We got it set at 425 degrees, and I'm going to show you a neat little trick how to get that fancy crust that they get at the bake shop. All right, so what we want to do now is, now that's all kind of come together, we're just going to fold it a couple times, spread some flour on the board so it doesn't stick. Now, this dough is a really wet dough. It's sticky, and I did that on purpose, kept a little bit of the flour out of it because you want to mix it until all the water is incorporated. Dust your hands, dust the flour, and then all you're going to do is fold it in half, turn it. Fold it in half, turn it. A little bit more flour, fold it in half, turn it. Now, both of these recipes aren't going to be recipes that you're going to get done in just a few minutes. These are going to take a couple hours. The sauce in itself is going to take about 3 hours. So I know we got to roll out, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like, or at least the proof product. When you get it to that point, put it on a board, let it rise for about 15 minutes. Then you dimple it down with your fingers, cover it another 30 minutes, cover it another 30 minutes. You're going to put it on a sheet that's got some cornmeal on it. That's part of the flavor. Going to keep it from sticking. 425 degrees, right on the stone. Here's the trick to give it a nice crust. A little spritz of water. Close it up, about 25 minutes, we're going to have fresh bread, but you got to stay right here. And we're working on our ciabatta bread, which the word ciabatta actually means slipper, because that's how it kind of comes out, looking like, not like a slipper, but the same shape. So we got it in here, we got it on the pizza stone. I'm spraying this with water. That's what's going to give it that nice baker's crust. We're going to close it up so it keeps that steam in there, but you got to stay right here on rising so you see how it turns out. Man, is it smelling good in here. I got that fresh bread in the oven. We're making a ciabatta bread. So basically, the whole gist of this meal is, these are my family recipes. Family bread, family sauce. We're going to make some meatballs, cook some sausage. But I got to get that bread out of the oven. It's taking about 25 minutes. About every 5 minutes, we've sprayed the oven with water. It's cooking on a baking stone. You could do it on a baking sheet. Wouldn't be a big deal. But it's got that nice crust on it now. Hollow in the middle. Man, you can smell it. It smells so good. This is one of those things we're going to serve with the red sauce. You could always cut it up, serve it with a little bit of olive oil, maybe some herb mix dip, or even just some butter, Parmesan cheese. So what we'll do is we'll let that cool off a little bit before we cut it. All right, so now we got to get sauce started on the sauce and the meatballs and the sausage. The easiest way to cook sausage, rather than just going out to the grill all the time, because you want to cook the sausage a little bit, make it nice and tender, let it cook all the way through. So basically what I've done is went to the Fresh Market. I got some sweet Italian sausage. You could get hot, you could get whatever you want. Just kind of what my family likes. So basically what I've done is cut them in half because that's the size I'm going to serve them in. Now what I need to do is I got the oven on, about medium-high heat. I'm going to cover, I'm not going to cover it, about halfway up with water. And what we're going to do is put this back on the stove, bring it up to a boil, and we're going to let it cook. And we're going to flip it a couple times. We're just going to keep flipping it, let it cook until all the water evaporates. Then you'll brown it in a little bit of that grease that's left in there. Then we'll put it in the sauce. So you definitely want to get that started first. So we'll get that going. Now I've got a pot with just some extra virgin olive oil. This is the whole key to this whole thing. It always starts with the base. The red sauce starts with the base. Again, this is going to be stuff you've got in your pantry. Olive oil, onions, garlic, some tomatoes. My mouth is already watering. So we're going to use just about all of these onions, but not quite, because we're going to use some of these in our meatballs. So we got the onions going here, that little low sizzle. That's what you're looking for. Now I've chopped up some garlic. And you use fresh garlic, you know, the kind you need to peel. You can always buy it in a can, I guess, if it's in the jar like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the rest of these onions in the meat. Now I've got ground beef, about 80-20. You could use ground pork. You could use a combination of the two. You could use turkey, chicken. But for my family recipe, it's always ground beef. So while you're away, I'm going to get these onions all stirred up and softened. I'll show you what we're going to do next. Hey, good morning, everybody. We're in here in the Rising Kitchen working on one of my family secrets. It's not even a secret anymore. We're going to share it with the world. My red sauce. It's not even my red sauce. It's my family's red sauce. So we've got the base of it started with just some onions and some garlic. Real simple. A lot of stuff you're already going to have in your pantry. We started with some canned product, which we put in there already, and I'm going to show you about that. Now with the sausage, it's got to cook in the sauce, but to get it started, we put it in a pan, covered about halfway full of water, let it reduce, and then we kept flipping it. So it starts to get just a little bit of color on it. Now we're going to put it right in here so it can continue to cook. And this sauce is going to cook for about 3 hours. It's definitely not something that you're going to get done in just a couple minutes. Not like our other quick red sauces we've done. All right, so we've got to add a little water to this, and you might think, well, why are you thinning all this out? Well, if you're going to cook it for a long period of time, you've got to give it a little bit of room to cook, because if you cook it without adding any water, then it's already going to be thick, and it's going to reduce and be way too thick. So now this is going to give it a chance to slowly reduce and thicken up. Now, if you notice, I'm pouring this out of the cans. And the reason why I did that, my grandmother always took the cans, when you put the tomato in there, rinsed it out, so you got every little bit of tomato out of there. Then we've got, well, this is turbo tomato. This is tomato paste. This is concentrated tomato product. This is going to make it super tomatoey. And if you don't like tomatoey spaghetti sauce, I don't know what other kind of sauce there is, really. All right, so we're going to get that going. Season it. We're going to put a little bit of sugar in there, not a whole lot. You don't want it sweet, but you just kind of want to balance out some of the acid in there from the tomatoes. All right, the key, dry herbs, not fresh, because it's going to cook for a long period of time. A couple tablespoons of oregano, dry oregano. Again, the reason for that, if you put fresh product in there, it's going to cook and it's just going to muddle the flavors. You're not really going to taste it. These are already dried, so they're concentrated, and they're going to cook nice and slow. What else do I need? Salt and pepper. We got the sugar in there. This is super simple and basic, and believe me, it might look simple, but it definitely doesn't taste simple. All right, so we're seasoning that. Our meatballs, we got 80-20 ground beef. You can add pork, you can add, turkey and all that. We're going to add some oregano, and I'm measuring it in my hand, but there is a recipe on WCCB Charlotte. We're going to add Parmesan cheese, a whole bunch of panko breadcrumbs to soak up that juice and keep them nice and moist. A couple beaten eggs. And then I'm adding some cream. You could use water or just omit it. I know we got to go, so I'm going to start mixing this up, portion them out. We'll be right back. Now we're finishing up our sauce and ball. These family recipes, family jewels that I'm giving to you. The ciabatta bread, the red sauce. Now where we left you was we were portioning out the meatballs. I've got them in here and they're raw, and that's okay. That's the way my grandmother used to do it. You get the sauce nice and hot. You drop the balls in there with the sausage. You can let them cook. She used to put pork neck bones and all kinds of fun stuff in there. It flavors the sauce. Doesn't necessarily make it greasy if you buy good beef. So what we've got here is the finished product. We're going to pull out some of the sausage and meatballs that have cooked. You can see how tender they are just by how the sausage is, kind of limp. We're going to pull out some of these meatballs, and that's a big old meatball there. Now the sauce was super simple. I mean, everything you've got in your pantry. If not, you definitely have access to it. Just some tomato sauce, crushed red tomatoes, onions, garlic, all that kind of fun stuff. So the easiest way to do the spaghetti part of this, and this is how my grandmother did it again, she'd cook the spaghetti, she'd put it back in the pot that she cooked the spaghetti in, ladle of sauce. This keeps it from sticking together, but also kind of gets it going already. So get that all stirred in. I don't know, if you're not hungry, I know it's too early for breakfast, or for dinner, or to eat spaghetti for breakfast, but I'll tell you what, some of the crew's hanging around right now, and they're ready to dig in. So we're going to get this all tossed. I'm just going to make myself a little plate for anybody gets in here. How about that? Looks like about the right amount of portion. So we'll do like that. No, that's not enough sauce. So what you do is you come back with the sauce, ladle it over top. Ooh, check that out. All right, so then I'm going to grab myself a couple meatballs. I usually go for 2 meatballs and 1 sausage. And then, of course, we got to put some cheese on it. Grated Parmesan, Romano, whatever you have. Man, you know I'm out of shape when I'm talking about red sauce and I'm out of breath. All right, so then we got our ciabatta bread that we made, super simple, 6 ingredients. Cooks it right in the oven, 425 degrees. And then we got to roll out, guys. But you have got to come in here and eat some of this.